Hey guys, it's Fancy and you're watching the Good Wives Network. So as you know, there has been some questions about the day that Dee Dee was unalived. Some people think it happened on the 9th, some say the 10th, and there's even reason to believe in the police report based on when the last time Dee Dee was seen supposedly that it could have been as late as the 12th. But I don't think so. What I think, allegedly, in my opinion, for entertainment and educational purposes only, is that Dee Dee was unalived on her mother's unaliving anniversary of June 9th. And let me show you why. Okay, so it's a little blurry, so I'm going to show you an actual calendar so this makes sense. But if you look right here, that last box that's checked off, that's the 7th. And so Dee Dee was very absolutely religious about checking off her dates. Her family have even expressed this before in the past of saying it was something that she did. And I know they were out most of the day on the 8th. And so maybe Dee Dee didn't get to mark off that day, but she surely would have marked it off by the next day or the day afterwards. And so just so you know what date that is, I'm going to show you the actual calendar since you can't see this one very well. So if you look at this of June 2015, the last date right there, the date that was marked off was the 7th. So that was Sunday. Monday they went to the doctor. And I pulled this from an E! News article. What it says is talking about what does she do 9 years after the death of her mother and how does she celebrate it or how does she mourn her mother's death. And it says, her own words, when June 9th comes around every year, I find myself in a very depressive state. It's a hard day for me, she told E! News Kettle Night in an exclusive interview. Some days what I do is listen to music. I listen to some of her favorite songs and I allow myself that time to grieve. And I do it privately because I don't want to be judged. Oh, honey, you're being judged, but not by us. That's going to be a higher power you have to be judged by. Here's another one that breaks down the timeline from News Nation. And again, you're seeing that June 9th, 2015, right? It only changed to June 10th most recently, and I'm not quite sure where the shift went because certain news reports still put it at June 9th and others put it at June 10th, and I think Gypsy now is going around saying it's the 10th if I'm not mistaken. But let's check some more research here. So this is from the case file, and this is Mr. Hancock, Stan Hancock's actual notes about talking with Gypsy. And if you look up here, he says Gypsy said her mother was unalive sometime on the 9th, but she did not remember what day it was. She remembered it was the 9th, however, because she was supposed to sneak out of the house and meet Nicholas Godejohn on the date mentioned above. He goes on to say that Gypsy states that her mother was in a blue nightgown the night that she was unalived. But remember, the rest of these notes all say she was in a white nightgown with pink flowers. So could it be this blue nightgown, Gypsy? Because that's the day before on the 8th. That's your mama, and she's pushing you in your little wheelchair, and you're just asking for some snacks, knowing that in 2 days you plan on unaliving this woman, right? But I don't think it was 2 days, because that's the blue nightgown, and somebody's like, oh, it's a dress. Well, I'm sorry, that's a muumuu. And she wore them all over. It's all she had. And they are comfortable for sleeping. They are comfortable for wearing out. And that's why larger women wear them quite often. But here we are. And I just think that something here is very, very off. So to me, the early morning of the 9th would make much more sense than the early morning of the 10th. In fact, there are multiple times, and I talked about this last week on our lives here on TikTok and on YouTube, and the replays are over on our YouTube channel, the Good Wives Network. And the thing is that she went dark a lot on the night of the 8th. And the early parts of the 9th. And Nicholas even noticed it and kept asking her what was going on. He was getting rather nervous while he was on the bus traveling, while he was in the hotel once he reached Springfield. And you can say that she was sleeping, or you can say that her mom might have caught her on her phone. But if you look at the phone records and the text messages, that girl texted him all day and all night, every day for almost 3 years. You can't tell me that mama didn't know. And there's indications that mama did know. In fact, there's there's an indication that Mama and Nicholas had a phone call and they fought, according to Gypsy's story. And that was why he got so upset because, he didn't like his name being dragged through the mud. Do you think he likes his name being dragged from the mud now, Gyp? Because that's exactly what you're doing to him and your mama. But I digress. I believe it happened on the 9th. I guess we will figure it out when we do our mock trial. Have a good one from the Good Wives. Serving up true crime, one dish at a time. Tell us what you think in the comments. Bye, guys. Mwah.